Welcome to today's World News Update for May 14, 2023. Here are the most important stories from around the globe. Argentina inflation smashes past every forecast to hit 109%. China and Russia are increasing their military collaboration. El Salvador's Bukele claims 365 days without murders. Twitter blocks content in Turkey one day before national election. Russian Air Force suffers worst losses since start of war. Lukashenko taken to hospital amid speculations of poor health. Kenya cult death toll rises to 200. Drought-struck Spain is running out of water. Switzerland takes step towards arms deliveries to Ukraine. Stay informed and stay safe, and join us tomorrow for more world news updates. Argentina inflation smashes past every forecast to hit 109%. Argentina's annual inflation rate surged to 109% in April, well above analyst forecasts and the highest in decades, according to the country's statistics agency. The 8.4% monthly inflation figure for April has pushed 1 in 4 people in the country into poverty. The price spike, which has led to shortages of basic goods, has put pressure on President Alberto Fernandez's government, which is seeking to control prices ahead of primary elections in August and a general ballot in October. The country has been struggling with high inflation, debt, and currency crises for decades. The historic drought that began last year has also hit exports of soybeans, corn, and wheat. China and Russia are increasing their military collaboration. The Japanese Foreign Minister, Yoshimasa Hayashi, expressed concern about the increasing military cooperation between Russia and China in Asia and its potential impact on the international order. Speaking at a meeting of European and Indo-Pacific foreign ministers in Sweden, Hayashi called for a united response from the international community to Russia's war in Ukraine, which he said had shaken the foundations of the international order. He also accused China of continuing to change the status quo in the East and South China Seas by force and increasing military activities around Taiwan. Hayashi warned that North Korea was escalating provocations in the region by conducting ballistic missile launches with unprecedented frequency. Some Indo-Pacific countries, including India and Pakistan, have called for an end to the Ukraine war but stopped short of condemning Russia for it. The EU has provided military support to Ukraine and imposed sanctions on Russia, and its foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, said that the bloc wanted to share its analysis of the causes and consequences of the war but did not seek to convince anyone to align with its stance. China was not invited to the talks. El Salvador's Bukele claims 365 days without murders. Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele claimed on Thursday that the country had gone 365 days without any murders since he took office in 2019. The president has declared a war on organized criminal gangs and instituted policies that allow police to detain suspected gang members without a warrant. A source from the presidency's communications team explained that Bukele's claim refers to the total number of days without murders since 2019, rather than consecutive days. However, there are no independent sources to verify Bukele's figures. While the murder rate in El Salvador has decreased significantly since Bukele took office, rights groups such as Human Rights Watch and the UN Human Rights Office have criticized the government's suspension of constitutional rights, which they say has led to widespread abuses. Twitter blocks content in Turkey one day before national election. Twitter has announced that it is blocking some content in Turkey ahead of the presidential election. The company has not explained which tweets will be blocked or who made the request, but Turkey's current president Recep Tayyip Erdogan has previously blocked Twitter across the country. Twitter has said that the censorship is in response to legal processes and to ensure that Twitter remains available to people in Turkey. Elon Musk, CEO of Twitter, has defended the censorship, stating that the choice was between limiting access to some tweets or throttling Twitter in its entirety. Erdogan and his political party have been criticized for their response to the recent earthquake that hit Turkey. Russian Air Force suffers worst losses since start of war. On Saturday, the Russian Air Force suffered its worst day of losses in 14 months, with 2 fighter jets and 2 helicopters crashing in the Bryansk region near the border with Ukraine. The Russian Ministry of Defense did not immediately comment on the crashes, and there was no official explanation for the incidents. Aviation analysts and Russian military bloggers speculated that the aircraft may have been brought down by friendly fire, Ukrainian air defenses, an aviation ambush laid by Ukraine, or even sabotage. Reports suggest that all 4 aircraft had been part of a coordinated attack on Ukraine, and were either shot down by enemy fire or crashed while evading it. 9 airmen reportedly died in the crashes. The Russian Air Force has performed poorly since the Kremlin ordered its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, despite outnumbering Ukraine's air force. Lukashenko taken to hospital amid speculations of poor health. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko checked into a hospital near Minsk, according to local sources, after being seen looking physically weak at a Victory Day celebration in Moscow with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Lukashenko arrived at the hospital accompanied by armed guards and access to the clinic was closed off. Later that day, he attended a Victory Day ceremony in Minsk wearing a suit instead of his military uniform and did not make a speech, breaking from tradition. Lukashenko has also attended few events in the past 2 weeks. Kenya cult death toll rises to 200. The death toll linked to a doomsday cult in Kenya has risen to 201 after police exhumed 22 more bodies, most of them bearing signs of starvation. The cult's pastor, Paul Mackenzie, is alleged to have ordered his followers to starve themselves to death to meet Jesus. Hundreds of bodies have been dug up from dozens of mass graves spread across his 800-acre property in the coastal county of Kilifi. More than 600 people are still missing. Mackenzie and 26 others have been arrested and police plan to charge him with terrorism-related offenses. Cults are common in Kenya, and police have been questioning other religious leaders whose teachings are believed to be misleading and contrary to basic human rights. Drought-struck Spain is running out of water. Spain is currently experiencing a severe water shortage due to a long-term drought and an early heat wave that is causing evaporation of the water in its reservoirs. The water crisis has been particularly pronounced in the regions of Catalonia and Andalusia, where the water reservoirs are at less than 25% of their capacity. The available water stock has gone below 40% of total capacity in the regions of Valencia, Murcia, Castile-La Mancha, and Extremadura. The Spanish agricultural sector, which accounts for 80% of the country's fresh water consumption, is being hit hard, with 60% of non-irrigated cereal crops affected by the water shortage. The situation has prompted calls for Spain to rethink its water management practices and move away from an agricultural model that relies heavily on irrigation. Environmentalists say that the country's intensive agricultural practices are part of the problem and that the current drought is a reminder of the limits of the Spanish agricultural model. Switzerland takes step towards arms deliveries to Ukraine. Switzerland has previously vetoed requests to transfer Swiss-made weapons and ammunition to countries involved in armed conflicts due to its neutral status. In March, Switzerland refused to support the re-export of ammunition to Ukraine, but pressure from Western partners has increased. EU countries plan to supply ammunition to Ukraine, but their own supplies are running low and some purchased from Switzerland have not yet been delivered.